Now reports have Marshall AD Christian Spears out. What is in the water in Huntington? It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. This episode brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Headed to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. All right, we will get to baseball, previewing that. We were going to do quarterbacks, but something came up. Pete Thamel has reported from ESPN that Christian Spears, the AD of Marshall, will not be returning. I will rephrase that. Will not be getting a contract extension and will be leaving at the end of the contract. Let's see when that exactly is. Thamel on Monday evening, Marshall Athletic Director Christian Spears and the school have mutually agreed he will not continue at the school after his contract runs out. Select school officials were briefed on the decision on Monday. He'll stay on as AD until the school finds replacement. His contract expires in March of 2026, so he's got another year. This is all from Pete Thamel. Since being hired in 2022, Marshall has been bowl eligible each football season, including the SBC title this past season. He hired Kim Caldwell in women's hoops, who's now at Tennessee. Marshall reached the finals of men's soccer college cup in 2024. So now the AD is gone. Okay. So see if we can make this a quick story. I interviewed for a job long time ago. 15, 16. You can find out when it is because I'll tell you who got it. Interviewed for a job in Nashville, and somebody who I didn't know who he was at the time, he got it, Jason Fitz. That's fine. That's not the part of the story. The thing is, the program director who hired Jason was let go on a Friday, and Jason was starting on Monday. I thought like that, if that was me, the guy who just brought me in he's fired. Am I on thin ice before I've even started? So now let's go to Arkansas State. This is a little bit different because Jeff Puritan took another job. And I still don't know. He got a big-time job. He's some sort of executive vice president with Learfield. So he may have gotten a raise, maybe somewhat equal money, but less headache, although he may still be traveling and busy on the weekends because that's when the sports are. But that's a little different. That he took a different job and left. That doesn't change the fact that they just hired a new baseball coach who's having a really good season, tied for 5th in the Sun Belt, looking like they could get a bye, if you will. And, of course, they just hired Ryan Pannone, head basketball coach. And now they're hiring a new AD who hopefully is on the same page as those guys. Now, what about Marshall? All right. Marshall just hired a new basketball coach. Started slow, finished strong. New baseball coach is just entering his 3rd season. They just had a big weekend trying to get into the Sun Belt Conference tournament. And of course, they just hired Tony Gibson as the new football coach. So what do you think Tony Gibson is thinking that the guy that hired him, who has his back, is now not there anymore? Like, what is going on at Marshall? Because it is interesting. And I know, obviously, AD jobs, especially at the G5 level, were really hard to begin with. They're virtually not quite impossible, but it used to be raise money, put out fires. Now it's just putting out fires the whole time, plus raising more money. And so these jobs are very difficult to begin with. So I get that. But let's flip the script a little bit. All right. Let's take Tulane, for example, is a great example of a big-time academic school. Tulane thinks very highly of themselves. It's not cheap to go to Tulane. Check what that costs, okay? And it is a good school. It's generally regarded as a one of the better higher learning institutions academically in the South. But they weren't really into sports, at least not football, until the last few years. And see what that's done for them, right? They went and beat Caleb Williams, right? They won a major bowl game against USC. And so they've gotten all kinds of publicity, exponentially more than what any academic notoriety would get you. All right. And I've heard this from numerous ADs and coaches that it's important that everybody is aligned, from the president of the school, the AD, the coaches. And then you get the money people are in there as well. All right. Everybody's got to be on the same page-ish, right? Basically. I've heard that from plenty of people, and it takes a little bit of effort sometimes to get that. But now Marshall was, however, and we saw plenty of comments on how Charles Huff and his agent were messing around with the Marshall administration, that they just agreed to wait until the end of the season, which, okay, if that's the agreement, again, loyalty seems to be one way usually. And if I'm Charles Huff, I don't have a problem me going after another job. I don't have a contract. I can't wait until all the jobs are filled for you to give me a contract. So however that went down, it went down. And again, for the most part, everybody's happy, right? I would tell you Marshall fans are still not happy with the way it went down, but they got Tony Gibson. Southern Miss has Charles Huff. Everyone's generally happy, all right? But now you're Tony Gibson. Is Tony Gibson going to be interviewing the AD? Like, he's got to be in, certainly not on the final process, but he's got to be involved somewhere along the way, that he's on the same page as the person that they hire as athletic director, if not the basketball coach or the baseball coach, and the softball coach for that fact of the matter too. But certainly the football coach has to be on the same page, especially in Marshall, how important that is. And everybody in Huntington is thrilled to have Tony Gibson. All right. He's done a great job, kind of under the radar recruiting. We'll see who the quarterback is. But he's got to be on the same page. The AD, here's the difference. The AD has to be on the same page as the football coach. Usually it's the other way around. But now Marshall doesn't seem, I don't know if Marshall, getting back to Tulane example, has that sports, we're using sports as an welcome mat to the university. All right. I know how important football is to Marshall. Absolutely. They built a new baseball stadium. They obviously invested in that. But it doesn't seem like everybody's on the same page. Obviously, Christian Spears wasn't on the same page as Charles Huff. It appears Christian Spears wasn't on the same page as the administration. Although it appears that those two, the administration and Christian Spears, were on the same page when it came to Charles Huff. So I don't know if he wanted a big raise. I'm sure we'll find out maybe by the time you're starting to see this on Tuesday. But boy, there's a lot going on at Marshall. And when everything seems to be so difficult, like the Cajuns are, I mean, they're struggling on the field, baseball and softball wise, but they're about to open up their new stadium. Like, this is what Brian Maggard was brought in to do. And the Cajuns have some of the best facilities in all the G5, although they could use some locker rooms for baseball. I think it's still an issue. But nonetheless, then they got to figure out what they're going to do basketball-wise with the Cajun Dome. But nonetheless, they have some outstanding facilities for G5, certainly when that football program is when the football stadium is going to get done for the season. But what is Marshall doing? Marshall doesn't bring back their Sun Belt Championship football coach because they can't agree on a contract. for whatever reason. And now they're moving forward with another AD. Certainly doesn't hurt my content, but it is a little mind-boggling that it doesn't seem like everybody is on the same page in Huntington. We will see what happens moving forward. All right, let's talk some baseball. App is visiting Wake Forest. We'll do that next after I tell you about Game Time. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. And every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena. And with Game Time, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer. And their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. You get those priority last-minute deals, saving up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. The all-in pricing means no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Jeff Puritan taking a job is shocking in itself, but somewhat understandable. What is going on at Marshall? That Christian Spears and the administration couldn't get on the same page. I do not know. Again, I'm sure we will get reports probably in the paper, if not late on Monday, come Tuesday morning. And then when they make comments, we'll find out about that. All right, baseball-wise, we do have, it's not quite a full slate. Looks like it's a 4-game week. Not too many 5-game weeks. Speaking of Marshall, they're actually going to West Virginia, one of the best teams in the country. That's not happening until Wednesday. App State is going to Wake Forest, and wouldn't you know it, as soon as App State got hot, they stopped winning baseball games. They've lost 5 in a row. They are now tied for 5th place. Coastal's first, Southern Miss second, Troy is third. The Cajuns are 4th, and they are 1 game ahead of both Arkansas State, who took 2 out of 3 from Georgia State, and App State, who just got swept by Southern Miss. And guess who App State is going to go face this weekend? They're at Coastal. Good luck. This is a big ball game to see if you can right the ship against Wake Forest. App State had a record of 21-16. They're now 21. Well, we'll try that math again. 21-17. They now have lost 5 in a row. They're 21-22. All right. This would also obviously help out the Sun Belt RPI. Let's see. We haven't looked at that recently. Let's see what we got here. Conference RPI. All right. Conference USA, they're actually 0.0053. So that's a big spot. And the Southern is actually catching up. That's not great. No. The Sun Belt is closer to 8th than they are to 6th. Not great for the Sun Belt. All right. Let's see what else we have here. The schedule for the Sun Belt on a Tuesday. You do have Coastal Carolina is going to UNC Greensboro. Let's see where that is. Where do we think? What do we think UNC Greensboro is ranked? Coastal Carolina is 13th in the nation. So they're still there looking like they could very well host. UNC Greensboro is 111. Speaking to a G5 coach the other day, it gets exhausting having to win every game, especially when you're playing teams that have bad RPIs. The former Raging Cajun softball coach, not Jerry Glasgow, but the one before him, would cancel Sunbelt Road Series if there was bad weather expected. Like, we're not going at all because we're not going to play a team that's got 150, 200 RPI that even if we sweep them, it's not going to end well for us. He would absolutely, we're not going, sorry, weather's bad. We're canceling the trip, not the game, the trip. And it's really tough. At UNC Greensboro, they got a better RPI than App State. App State's 175. Here's the difference. It is a road game. So it may actually help Coastal Carolina if they win at North Carolina Greensboro. Whereas you lose at home one game to App State, that's going to be rough. All right. You'd be out of the hosting territory, probably. Not great. All right. Let's see here. Northwestern State is at ULM. ULM hosting Northwestern State. Former Sunbelt team, Little Rock. Arkansas State is at Little Rock. UTSA is at Texas State. They did take down Troy in the final game of that series. New Orleans is at Southern Miss. All right. And Troy, which we'll get to here in a minute, is hosting Jacksonville State. Might as well do Wednesday's action. Marshall, as we mentioned, is at West Virginia. Georgia Southern at College of Charleston. Georgia State looking to right the ship. Mercer and South Alabama is hosting a funk. They are in a funk. They are hosting Nichols. All right. And again, huge series all over the place. Marshall and Old Dominion are fighting for spots in the tournament. The Cajuns are still looking for, to avoid, looking for a top 6 seed. So is Georgia State and Georgia Southern, for that fact of the matter. ULM at Texas State, both fighting for a spot in the conference tournament. Southern Miss is looking to secure their spot in the tournament. They got Arkansas State, again, going to be a thorn in someone's side, I bet you. And Troy is on the road at South Alabama. All right, we will collect all those this week. It is an odd week here because the horse races are during the day. It's not like I'm coming home to watch the Super Bowl. Right? Like, I should be home. I'm presuming there's going to be no traffic. I do not live that far away from Churchill Downs. But I won't be home until 5:30. Isn't post time like it used to be, like right at 5 or 6, but now maybe like 6:35. I presume everyone will be in their seats by the time I'm dealing with it. So we get to watch the horse race, and then we don't even have to worry about it. We can watch baseball if it's going on. All right. I do want to talk about Troy hosting Jacksonville State and their situation. It's as if people are hoping they're right. They want to be right by proving a point with the RPI, and I don't understand it. We'll talk about that when we come back, after I tell you about FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From 3-pointers to steal to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Troy's hosting Jacksonville State. Let's see where Jacksonville State is. They used to be pretty good. They got a good RPI, 82. So that a loss is not going to crush Troy in that spot. But heading into that, and this can change because I've seen my guy Glavin's RPI change a couple of times. So let's see where, and I thought Troy was 43. I think they dropped to 44. They are 44 as of Monday evening. Usually guys aren't playing on Monday, but if there are games finishing up, Troy is 44 heading into this. Okay. Meanwhile, that's RPI. Meanwhile, they are ranked in all of the major polls. All right. They are ranked 15th in Baseball America, 20 in the National Baseball Writers Association. D1 Baseball has them 20. USA Today Coaches Poll has them 22. And Perfect Game has them 22. So they are a solid top 25 team. The problem is, and people don't believe me when I say this, those rankings don't mean anything. It goes by D1, not D1 Baseball, but the NCAA has their own RPI, but that's usually Warren Nolan's is right there. It usually is basically the same. But someone's trying to tell me that as long as they're in the top 25, they're going to get in. And this may be more about Southern Miss, but I don't know, because all the top 25 teams do. Well, that's good rationale, to be honest with you, because, I mean, I'm going to guess 95% of the time, a top 25 team has a top 30 RPI. Right now, Troy doesn't, for whatever reason. All right, they've had a very solid season. Not sure the last time they lost the series. They're 31-13. Their schedule is not great. They have a non-conference schedule of 80. Overall strength of schedule is 99. I mean, they're 17-4 in the Sun Belt. Have they even lost a series in the Sun Belt? Lost a series. They beat the Cajuns. They beat Carolina. They beat Marshall, but Marshall took the Sunday ball game. That's a big loss for Troy, actually. They beat Old Dominion. They swept JMU. They did lose one to ULM, and they took 2 out of 3 from Texas State. So they have yet to lose a series. I will say they have also not swept a series yet, and they've played, the biggest win they have there is Coastal Carolina, but they've had a chance to sweep Marshall, Texas State, and they haven't been able to do it. All right. And I still say this. They very easily, because they don't have the toughest schedule coming up. Not at all. They have to play, who do we say this weekend? They're getting South Alabama, who's got an RPI of 145. Again, it's tough to go into a series thinking you're going to sweep. You'll get help being on the road, but you lose one game, your RPI is going to fall. Now, they do play Alabama, so you can make that up right after the South Alabama matchup. Samford isn't bad. That's a top 100 RPI. But then you're playing Arkansas State. That's at Arkansas State. You do get bonus points for winning, but if you lose one ball game, you're going to be in a tough spot. So they could, take 2 out of 3 from South Alabama and Arkansas State and see that RPI fall into the 50s. They'll still be ranked in the top 25, but now that RPI is in the 50s. You want to roll the dice on Memorial Day when that NCAA selection show comes on and they're 52, haven't lost a series all season, but their RPI is 52. The one saving grace they have is they do get Southern Miss at the end of the season, and that is at home. Okay, so if you win that series, you'll be in the top 4, certainly top 50. All right, if you do fall out of the top 50, whereas you could be top 40. And again, that's all I'm looking for. Just to, once you slide past 40, I think teams are on the bubble. That's my belief. And it would be, it'd be tough to explain Troy not making the tournament if they finish second in the Sun Belt, win every series, including Southern Miss series, but that's going to change the RPI. They should be fine. If they win the Southern Miss series, they'll be probably in the top 40 if they win that series. But you watch them take 2 out of 3 from South Alabama, watch them take 2 out of 3 from Arkansas State, and watch them be 52-53. And there's going to be a lot of nervous people in Troy, Alabama, when that's the case. All right. Now they can still go out and win the Sun Belt Conference tournament. All right. That's very doable. All right. But I certainly wouldn't want to be in their position just because I'm ranked. Doesn't mean I'm getting it. Now, do teams want to prove, do the people commenting just want to prove a point, hoping that they are 48th or 49th or 52nd and get into the tournament to prove me wrong? Great. That'd be fine. I want them to get in. I'm just watching their RPI, which is really all that matters. And their RPI right now, 44, doesn't match their rankings. Because the rankings will not go down if they take 2 out of 3 and win the series, because that's the way baseball is. But you play bad RPI teams, the RPI is going to fall if you lose one of those games. Now, here's the other thing. If they sweep South Alabama, if they sweep Arkansas State, they'll be right back in the top 40 for sure. All right. Lose one, see where you fall to. All right. Again, that's just I'm just looking to avoid sweating out Memorial Day. That's what I'm looking to avoid. I guess maybe you always do if you don't win the Sun Belt Conference tournament because you just never know. But I feel really confident having close to 40 wins and RPI in the top 40, I'm basically in. All right. I could still have 40 wins, but not have an RPI of in the 50s. Whew. Going to be hot on Memorial Day in Troy. That's all I'm saying. All right. Someone's not going to get a lot of sleep if that's the case. All right. So we'll wait and see. Again, I'd love to be wrong. It's not I'm trying to prove a point of being right. I'd rather not be right. I'd rather Troy, Southern Miss, and Coastal Carolina all get in and Coastal host. I even said, Southern Miss, if they start running the table and they beat Troy, that's on the road, they could find themselves hosting. Someone commented this is usually the time that Southern Miss goes on a 13 to 15 game winning streak. Well, do that and you could find yourself hosting very quickly. You start winning a bunch of ball games in a row and their RPI, which was in the 40s last week, it popped when they beat Southeastern, now all the way up to 31 with the sweep on the road against App. Pull off a sweep this weekend, which is Arkansas State. RPI is probably not going to go up that much, but it'll go into you'll be top 30, right? And all these other teams are facing each other for the most part. So you might sneak in, especially if you do take the series against Troy on the road. You may find yourself being a potential host site, but that is certainly a long way down the road, and that's tough to lose a ball game with the position they're in to get that. But it is possible if you go on a 13 to 15 game winning streak. All right. All right. We will see if we recap the action. We'll probably find out more about Christian Spears. We do have Ricky Ronnie is supposed to join us for the Wednesday episode. The Old Dominion coach did reach out to a bunch of SIDs today. On Monday. I did not hear back. So we shall see. Kind of short notice when I say, hey, I'm available today and tomorrow. But you never know. And also available next week. But I am working for the rest of the week and looking forward to it. Again, if you guys are coming down to Louisville for the Kentucky Derby, be sure to hit me up. I got plenty of drink. All right. Thank you so much for all of the comments. Try to respond to all of them. I have a very voracious commenter in YouTube, so can't respond to everything that he says, but we try to respond as much as I can. All right. Again, thanks very much for tuning in. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. And again, Ricky Ronnie, Old Dominion football coach, is supposed to join us for Wednesday's episode. You have been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a great one.